Welcome to my first VTuber video, and today I'm going to be reacting to a video called "What's the Deal with the Gacha Game Protagonist?" What's the deal with Gacha Game Protagonist? Am I right or am I right? But yeah, anyways, I would like to react to this video, and I saw that like Limbus Company was called out saying that like I think like in the thumbnail it was like Limbus Company Dante was a useless protagonist. So I'm kind of curious. What this video is gonna be. This is by a creator called Yuma. Go check him out. Really like we need to support these content creators. Hopefully it's not a bad video. I don't know. Let's just watch.
Gacha game protagonists. Are they boring? Are they just self-insert so you can date your waifus or husbandos? Are making compelling main characters in gacha games even important? Why is it that every time a new gacha game goes mainstream, one of the first criticism is often how their main character...
So this is Enfield, right? If I'm not mistaken. This is like Arknight Enfield. Arknight Enfield, I think? Wait, what? I think so. I think it's Arknight Enfield. Pretty good shit. Pretty good stuff.
Character is written. You know, I think there's this growing resentment
Halal matters only? Huh?
towards gacha game
protagonists, especially in the mainstream ones. First, I witnessed this with people's criticism towards the characterization of Traveler in Genshin Impact. Then I see it again with the whole Rover Glaze fiasco in Wuthering Waves. Then again with inconsistent writing of Trailblazer's character in Honkai Star Rail. And the most recent one is the way Administrator act in Arknight's Enfield. I
I
think
think there's something we can discuss.
So, okay. Call me crazy. I only played 3 of the games that was mentioned. I never played Enfield because problems with hardware. Is it that bad? Like genuinely, like just put it in the comments below. How bad can it be? I mean, I'm gonna like say like a bunch of like things in the comments below, I feel. So okay, continue on.
Here. So, let us talk about gacha game protagonist.
Okay. Alright. So Buwa is self-insert. Aether is weak. Dante is useless. Enfield is boring. The writer of this video is jobless. Okay.
Hey there.
call me Yuma, a serial gacha game, copium inhaler, and dude with fictional stories addiction. First, I want to clarify that this video
Hey, our company, our CEO.
is just an opinion from a consumer of stories. I'm not a writer. I'm not gonna claim that I know how to write better characters or fix them. Dear God, no. But still, I will subject you to my opinion. I just wish that we can discuss this topic and share our opinions without being defensive about it because I said something bad about your goat. Let's be civil. It's a video game.
Absolutely. I think like it's a good like starter for a video. Just like, yeah, hey, it's like it's no biggie. don't start a war in the comment below, and it's like pretty good shit.
First, let me ask you a question. What makes a protagonist good? To me, what makes a protagonist good is very simple. They need to be interesting. They don't need to be someone with relatable flaws or aspiring qualities. It doesn't matter whether they are irredeemable evil or absolutely virtuous. They don't have to be the most important character in a story. As long as they could grab and maintain my interest, then they are good main characters.
That did their job. I like with
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment for like a good like protagonist. I feel like protagonists should have because like in my opinion, there's some difference between protagonist and main character. I think like a lot of people have discussed about this like outside of like the sphere of like my own, which is like there's main characters and then there's protagonists, and I feel like he's describing main character instead of protagonist because like protagonist can be almost anything, and protagonist can be protagonist doesn't need to be interesting as of literally, because protagonists are very I don't know, like it's more like it's less of a story given thing. It's more like that's like a role that they play. Basically, they're the protagonist, they're the antagonist, etc. Whilst main character is like what like the story has given them. and like he's describing like a main character instead of like a protagonist, in my honest opinion at least.
Missing Flat's coming of age.
Story in Stellar Swordmaster. I like to see Bocchi's awkwardness in Bocchi the Rock. I like following Klein and then Lumian's thousands of chapter struggle in Lord of the Mysteries. It is always hilarious to see Sid Kageno's shenanigans in Eminence in Shadows, and it fills me with hope that even someone with a messed up past like Sonny can still find ways to overcome it in Omori. These are interesting main characters that did their job amazingly. A strong anchor that maintains their story together so that it would not be a chaotic, non-consistent mess.
Yes.
But now, let's ask a different question. What makes a gacha game protagonist good? Because unlike most stories where making a compelling protagonist is important, in gacha games, not so much, isn't it? What needs to be interesting here is the characters that you pull for. The primary role of a gacha game protagonist is to be a medium for players to connect with these characters. That's why it is easier to just
so
make
he
a
does
blank
know,
slate
basically.
character. You can make the most uninteresting, apathy-inducing, snore-welcoming main character ever, but if the wife was blushes and the husbandos are sexy, your gacha game company can still afloat. This is the way these games and their audiences are, aka me. Truthfully, I'm fine playing gacha games with uninteresting blank main character. A good protagonist is not what I'm expecting when trying out a new gacha game. That is just the nature of the genre. However, once in a while, I will find an outlier. Gacha games where the most interesting character to me is the protagonist. And these tends to be my favorite gacha game story. The fact that these kinds of gacha games are few is quite a shame to me because there is potential for something great here, instead of being complacent in mediocrity.
I see.
Is the loudest complaint from everyone. As someone who is a gacha game player before mainstream, it is interesting to see the shift in how people see gacha game protagonists, or specifically, the player character.
Because before there is not much complaint about it. People are fine with
Sorry, I have to stop. He makes good art, honestly.
blank character like Commander.
From Azur Lane, the captain from Honkai Impact 3rd, or even the doctor from early chapters of Arknights, because they are not the true protagonists of the story. They are just the player's avatar. The real protagonists from these older gachas are often the main cast surrounding you. Think Kiana from Honkai Impact 3rd, or Amiya from Arknights. They are the true anchor for the story. But now, with gacha games going mainstream thanks to Genshin, we began to see more and more of hybrid self-insert protagonists, where they had a backstory and even their own goals, but still forced to be a silent
Self-insert character. That
I feel like that's like a given, because like again, like it's hard to like make a character or like you know, like a vehicle of a character to like how do I say this? It's hard to make a vehicle of a character based on nothing, if that makes sense, because like you're basically the vehicle and the main characters are the characters you pull, and it's really hard to just like make a character that is like good, because the problem is that the main characters of the game isn't the main character, if that makes sense. He's just, or she's just the vehicle for how the story would go on from there, basically. And that's sad in my opinion. Except for like I'd say like Zenless Zone Zero makes a good in my opinion, at least, in my opinion. You might disagree with me, like so be it. I feel like Zenless Zone Zero made a good main character for the game, in my opinion.
is where things become problematic.
I think they're trying to emulate Persona games, like how Makoto and Joker in Persona 3 and 5 still has their own backstory, a perfect anchor for the whole game, while still doing a good job as a silent self-insert protagonist. The thing is, hybrid self-insert protagonist works in a focused story with unchanging set of main cast like Persona or Metaphor Fantasio, but if you do it badly, it will greatly damage a game's overall story, especially for a live service gacha game that goes on for years, where the story and characters are constantly changing. In the pursuit of both having an anchor for the story by giving the protagonist a backstory and some personality traits, but still forcing them into a silent protagonist for easier projection, they end up failing in both. The most famous example for this problem is, of course, the Traveler from Genshin Impact.
Aether. Okay.
On paper, the story of Traveler,
Lumine.
aka Aether and Lumine, is really interesting. A pair of siblings that got stranded into another world after being attacked by a god. I will not discuss details regarding this. It is a big spoiler. Aether wakes up in the shores of Mondstadt. Alongside this creature, he then goes on a journey to find his sister. This is the main anchor they established. But then, early in the story, they did meet again. In the quest, We Will Be Reunited. Do Genshin players even remember this quest? Here, Aether finds out that Lumine has become the leader of the Abyss, planning on something mysterious but could not have been good. There is a neat narrative reframing here. Just like what Lumine told him, Aether must journey across the Vat, met its people, experience this world, finds out its truth. Only after his journey is finished, they will be reunited. This could be a really interesting journey of how Aether finds value in the new connection that he made, helping them with their problems, making him questioning Lumine's actions even more. But nope, that barely happened, because they force Aether into a silent self-insert. He's an observer,
Witnessing everything in silence while this creature
I feel like that, I don't know, I haven't played Genshin in so long. Like, I think like I stopped in Mondstadt. I didn't like continue on afterwards. But like, honestly, like I don't know, I feel like I think like Aether and Lumine was like an okay protagonist. I wouldn't say they're bad, but I kind of understand where he's coming from, honestly. So yeah.
Jared did all the talking. He's the protagonist.
But instead of incorporating his story and his motivation inside other stories, he constantly gets thrown to the side. In theory, he's a good guy, but he feels like an apathetic character that only goes through the motions. Years of Genshin's runtime and Aether, the protagonist, barely had any development at all. Look, I like Aether a lot. The siblings-related story are always the highlight of Genshin to me. But because how they handled him, Genshin's story can be so frustrating and inconsistent. The character that is supposed to be the anchor of the story just being ignored. His big potential reduced to a mere camera for most of Genshin's runtime. And I think that's such a shame. A completely blank self-insert is apathy-inducing, yes, but they did their job well. While a half-assed hybrid self-insert is just frustrating. You can't just give us a main character with their own backstory, motivation, and personality, but then put them in silence mode and throw them to the side. Now, it seems like post-Genshin gachas noticed this problem, so they attempt to fix it by strengthening the protagonist's place within the story. The protagonist now is usually the most important piece of, well, everything, and that could be good. A protagonist-centered story is not a bad thing, but again, they're executing this in a really weird way, and the main thing that they share in common is, you guessed it,
Excessive glazing.
Glazing! Sorry. glazing. My boy, my girl, my bro Glazer, the girl Glazer. The Glazer. Who the hell is her name? Fucking Otis the Glazer. Sorry about that. Oh.
You see,
I like it when a non-self-insert character that I adore to be glazed. But I don't like it when that happened to a character that is supposed to be me. Now, to make it worse, because of how hybrid self-insert character is written, it just leaves me confused. Like in Wua, for example, it's clear that Kuro games are trying to do more
You play back.
because they had the balls to make Rover act beyond what players want, like in the Prolova story. I like Rover as a character, so I like it when other characters glazed him. It's like the experience of reading a power fantasy manhwa, you know, you're rooting for your goat. But it is very clear that Rover is also supposed to be you. So it is inevitable that I end up inserting myself into him. Wait a minute, that sounds so wrong. Because of that, it always makes me feel, achy, that these characters always feel the need to absolutely glaze me, telling me how great I am while all I did in the story was spam left click and parries. It's like, shut the fuck up. I don't know if it's just a me thing or not, but if a game wants to glaze a self-insert protagonist, at least make the glaze feels earned through challenging gameplay or something. Like how when I played Persona
5 in hard difficulty. The game is
I mean, okay, look. This is just my opinion. You might disagree or agree with this, but like, honestly, legitimately saying, a lot of like the like quote unquote challenging gameplay are not as challenging to most people or to some people or like to gamers, and this is like if I'm not mistaken, at least this is for the casual players who would feel like this is like a hard gameplay, and also in world or like in act, a lot of people would find it like, oh, you fought a god, you fought like a tacit that is like basically a god, etc. So like that might be different from like you as an individual trying to like find your own way on like hey, this is like easy, right? Because like you find it easy, but like some people find it hard, but like also the characters in the story would find it hard, etc. So like it's like weird to like mishmash it. It's like expectations doesn't meet like what like it's really weird. Like your expectations are not met, but also at the same time, to some people, their expectations are tempered with, or like essentially like that is their expectations essentially. So yeah, I have a friend that like basically does like the fights with only like one ability. Like all he does is parry and dodge roll, like against like a really high level boss. So like I mean, that's him, right? But like for me, it was like pretty hard in my opinion because I'm not a gamer. I don't play games.
quite challenging.
to me here, so when we're gonna go, I go, I know. Also, the other very noticeable part of this approach is that the protagonist ends up
Sorry,
becoming too important. As comparison, in Genshin, seeing characters just casually interacting with each other is something that happened a lot, like Xianyun's awkward family dynamics or Sumeru characters visiting Mondstadt for Windbloom Festival. While in WoA, this is rare, because Rover always needs to be interacting with the characters. Most of the character dynamics feel underdeveloped, like how Augusta and Yuno is supposed to be best friend, but we rarely see their interactions because they're too busy singing praises of how great and special Rover is. I feel this way towards every hybrid self-insert protagonist. Rover from Wuthering Waves,
Wow,
Trailblazer from
his
Hong Kong
PP is so big.
My frustration reached its peak with Administrator from Arknight's Enfield. Look, Enmin can spray waters on the walls and everyone will go, oh my god, it's amazing! He's spraying waters on the wall, that's really cool, oh my god! Again, there's this growing bitterness towards these protagonists. But the thing is, they worked. Just look at the most successful gacha games now. Most, if not all of them, incorporate hybrid self-insert protagonists. This is why so many gacha games do this. There's a big audience that is okay for these kind of main characters. They might voice frustrations about it, but hey, the waifus are cute, the husbandos are hot, so who cares? It's a gacha game, the protagonist is not the most important thing, and in truth, I also think this way. Yeah, I may complain about it, but it's not a deal breaker or anything.
Yeah.
However, it is frustrating.
I can't help but
Oh yeah, because you've been watching this video now. Hey, leave a thumbs up and leave a subscribe in the bottom below. Hope to catch you in the next video. Bye bye. Oh no, wait, what? Bye bye. What? No, I'm still watching this. What the hell? Sorry about that.
to itch for more. Gacha games with protagonists that is interesting and could realize their potential to the fullest. Think of Vertin from Reverse 1999, or how the Doctor becomes in Arknights. But I want to focus on someone else because they are perfect for this video. Let us talk about Dante.
Dante! 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 I'm still at like the fourth canto, honestly.
Dante! Dante!
Dante, what the hell?
I know I already glazed Dante in this other video, and I will sound like a broken record
The brain rot takes you hold, and I can't escape. Oh man.
here. But who cares? I will take any
Chance to glaze my Dante from the gacha game Divine Comedy, Limbus Company, has the caricature of a
Too
blind,
hard, sorry.
silent self-insert. A clockhead with no face. They can talk, but all that comes out is clock noises. And to top that, Dante doesn't have memories. They have everything a blank self-insert character wants. But my god, they are so far from that, because Dante is a fully realized character. You see, Limbus Company is a game carried purely by its story. It's a dark story that doesn't pull punches, but still balance it with humor and quite hopeful themes. You always see people singing praises about how Limbus Company has one of the best stories that transcends the gacha game genre itself. And I think one of the reasons for that is the way they handled Dante. To set the stage, in Limbus Company there's this ultra-rare, mysterious new item called the Golden Bow. To get these
Golden
items, Limbus
Bow.
Company assembles a team of people from various places within this huge city. People that are in the lowest point of their lives.
promise that by following this journey,
By the way, audience out there who's like new to my channel, the golden bow just means the golden stick, or like the end of a stick, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So like, the golden stick, you know, like fucking like fuck me.
their most desperate
Desperate desire will be fulfilled, creating the Limbus Company bus department. Then they get bound to Dante and branded as the Sinners, with Dante themselves as Sinner number 10. Together with the Red Gaze Virgilius as their guide and Charon as the bus driver, they go on a journey to retrieve these Golden Bow and face their sins. What makes Dante such a good character is how their thoughts, actions, and decisions just make sense. They are amnesia protagonists done right. Dante doesn't immediately start as someone strong, competent, and liked immediately by everyone. They start as a weak, spineless, downright pathetic manager that can't even get the Sinners to work with them. They constantly being ignored and ridiculed. But you know, Dante still has something. With the chain that bounds the Sinners, Dante has the power to bring them back to life, pulling the Sinners from this ominous state. And when Dante did this, they will experience the immense pain of death. But this does not have people respect Dante. In fact, they become more of a tool to constantly endure pain and revive the Sinners when needed. So
But first, there's this air of
Dante, why must you suffer for our sins, Dante? Dante, please.
bitterness from
Dante. But as they spend more time together, the door to these people's hearts starts to open. And this is where Dante as a main character shines. Dante is not a cheat code that will fix the sinner's problem. They are just as lost as the sinners in their journey. Their role as a manager beautifully ties to the core theme of facing your sin and what it means to be a better person despite your trauma. Dante will fail. Dante will misunderstand. Dante may not have the best words that the sinners needs to hear. But no matter how deep in despair the sinners are, Dante will be there, enduring hell with them, together in their inferno. And so,
Dante, my
all of the
beloved.
sinners, Dante starts to grow. They become more confident, better at decision making, better at strategizing. But Dante still fail again, then get back up, learn from mistakes. And the sinners slowly treat Dante better and begin to respect them. A mutual respect that came from actual human connections. A trust that feels earned and real, not artificial and forced. Their chemistry grows into a family. I just adore Dante a lot, okay? They're my favorite gacha game protagonists alongside Vertin and Doctor. This is the true potential of a gacha game protagonist. I think these characters are not bad. When they are a blank character, they did their job perfectly. And when they're not, they're actually a bunch of interesting characters, but it is super frustrating that their true potential is squashed by the genre, reduced to a plot device that conveniently becomes relevant when the plot demands it. I wish in the future there will be more Dante, more Vertin, protagonists that actually makes me want to pull for characters more or because how they're written.
protagonist that anchors the story.
I feel like one thing that most people don't actually notice is that like when they actually play, like watch a character or like want to like play a game, but they don't realize that like the more the main character actually feels like a lot more relatable or like actually like listenable or even just like enjoy to play with as a main character or like as like a main protagonist, to say the least, it becomes like really like you want to play the game more, you want to spend money more, you want to like do stuff more in that game essentially. And that's like a thing that like most people don't realize is that, yeah, like obviously if you like the game, like you're gonna start playing more. But I think like people don't realize that is a heavy thing to say, because like at the end of the day, what makes you like something, what makes you enjoy something, what makes you entitled to love something so dearly that like you're going to spend more than like just your time, you know? And especially on a free gacha game, that's like a really big question to ask yourself basically. And I think like it's a good question to ask yourself every day after like you make like you know, you watch a video or like play a gacha game.
So that it wouldn't be a chaotic
At this topic, sorry. My bad, my brain is scattered. Inconsistent mess. Protagonists that you root for not because the other characters did, but because they actually deserve it.
For that's
Hello. You know, I'm gonna be real here. At the end of the day, if I want a game with fully realized characters, I can just, you know, play other games. There's a lot of single-player games that provides that, but I think I just crave the experience of having a comfort live service game with good gameplay and interesting continuous story that I can follow for years. Which is a very high demand, I know, but for such a game to exist, nailing a main character is very important. However, you don't need a fully realized deep protagonist to say that a blank self-insert character is your favorite. At the end of the day, just enjoy what you want to enjoy. Don't let what I say in this video to disturb your enjoyment of whatever gachas you're playing. With that in mind, I would like to ask, I don't know if you play a lot of gacha games, but who is your favorite gacha game protagonist and why? Or maybe if you disagree with what I said, I too would like to know about that. I like asking these questions in my videos because not only it helps the channel, but since the channel is still small, I can read individual comments from you lot and see what you think. The unfortunate thing about big content creators is that with a big audience, it's really hard to treat people who watches you as people. They tend to treat their audience like a single hive mind-like entity. I'm not criticizing them for doing that, I'm just saying that this is just the way things are. And if one day the channel did grow larger, I wish to not do that as much as I could. And since the channel is still small, I just wish to use this opportunity as much as I could, you know? Wait, why am I talking about this again? Sorry, I tend to go off script during this campfire talk. Anyway, I think I've talked for long enough now. As always, thank you so much for watching all the way here. You spending your time watching my videos is always something that I appreciate. For now, we shall part ways. But we shall meet again. As always, be safe, friend. Don't you dare
go hello.
That's a good video. That's a good video, honestly. I would like I'll leaving a like and subscribe. So yeah. Okay. Please do like check out Yuma. His channel would be in the description below. I'm not gonna put this. I'm probably gonna put this video instead of his channel into like the description. And hope y'all have a wonderful day. Okay. Adios.